Hi, I'm responding to a video by, I think your name is Ken, your YouTube name is Bishop DR, and I also agree with you in what you said about Ken Robbins' humor adding a lot to the video. I think it takes, as I said in my other video response, it takes very serious issues and sort of draws them into a perspective that we can understand, and it's funny always because it's partially true. I think that's why things are funny, is that they have just that little or big piece of truth inherently in them. I also want to look at this issue of sort of weighing how much importance we should place on creativity and on literacy. I think on the one hand, yes, creativity is obviously very important in children and in adults, which is something we don't look at very often. But in order to be creative, you need to have some kind of a base knowledge of what's going on. It's like you can't be good at playing a game unless you know the rules. You know, you can't be an expert chess player, which involves a fair amount of creativity, I think. You can't be an expert at any kind of game unless you know what the rules are, and then you can take those rules and make them your own, make them better, make them fit whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. And so I think the same is true for education in a context that students need to have sort of a base knowledge of, if we're talking about music, you don't have to know everything about theory, you don't have to know everything about history, but you do need to have a base level of understanding in order for you to propagate your own development through creativity. So I think that's something that we need to look at because, yeah, I do think creativity is important, but you can't foster that in another person unless that person has had a background which gives them a very firm understanding of issues that they need to take and build around issues. Like composition, for example. You don't need to know everything about what every single composer has done in the history of the world, but in order to sit down and write a piece, you really can't unless you have some kind of context for having been a performer, for at least knowing what music looks like, unless we talk about alternate, notation standards, which could be a different project. But you need to know where the bar lines go, what a dynamic is about, what kind of ranges instruments can play in. These are things that you have to know. So all of that is to say that I do believe that fostering creativity in children, students, people in general, is important, but it's not without saying that that is contingent upon having a base level knowledge of whatever trade is being learned or mastered at that time. Those are my thoughts. Thank you for posting that video.